Oh, hello, my darlings. Come closer. Pull up a chair. I have seen many seasons come and go, many sunrises and sunsets. And if there is one thing I have learned in all these years, it is this. The body can take a lot of wear and tear, but the mind is like a beautiful, delicate silk scarf. You have to treat it with the greatest, most tender care, or it frays before its time. I want to talk to you today about something very serious, something that keeps me up at night, because I have seen it happen too many times. You see a beautiful person, full of laughter and history, and then, slowly, they start to fade. Not their body, their light, their memories, the stories that make them, them. The title of this video, it is bold, I know, the #1 mistake that ages your brain faster. You clicked because you are worried, and that is good. Worry means you care about the future of your mind. You want to keep your wit, your sharpness, the ability to remember the smell of your grandmother's kitchen or the face of your beloved when you first met them. These memories, they are our gold. Most people, when I ask them what they think the mistake is, they always say the same two things. They tell me, Rosario, it must be the sugar, right? The terrible processed sugar. Or they say, it must be the screen time, all the hours staring at a little glass rectangle. And they are not wrong, no. Those things, they are like tiny scratches on the surface of that silk scarf. They are damage, yes, but they are not the rip that tears the whole thing apart. I watched my own Tío Ernesto, bless his honest, grumpy soul, decline years ago. And it made no sense to me. The doctors, they shook their heads. They said it was just age, but I knew better. Tío Ernesto, he was obsessed with health. He would wake up before the sun to walk. He ate a diet that would make a rabbit jealous, all vegetables and lean fish. He never touched a soda in his life. He was a puzzle wrapped in a mystery, tucked inside a riddle. His body was strong, but his mind, it went away like a kite string cut loose in a strong wind. I remember sitting by his bedside, holding his hand, and asking him over and over, Ernesto, what happened? You did everything right. He would just look past me with those beautiful cloudy eyes and not know who I was. How could a man who followed every rule, every diet, every piece of health advice still lose the most precious thing he had? For years, that question haunted me. It followed me through my kitchen, it sat beside me on my porch swing, it woke me up in the middle of the night. It forced me to look beyond the things the magazines tell you, beyond the latest fad, and into the very deep, dark center of human existence. I want you to forget about the keto diet, forget about your 20,000 steps for just a minute. Because if you make the mistake I am about to tell you, you can do all the squats and eat all the kale you want, and your brain will still be silently, tragically aging decades ahead of your body. The #1 mistake that ages your brain faster is not what you put into your body. It's what you allow to be taken away from your soul. Now, you have to stay with me because this is where the story takes a turn, and you must understand the difference between the symptom and the disease. Think back to Tío Ernesto. His life from the outside was perfect. He was retired, financially secure. But his wife, bless her, she passed away a few years before the trouble started. His children were all grown, living far away, busy with their own beautiful lives. He was living in a quiet, large house with a lovely garden, completely, utterly alone. He thought his daily walk was enough. He thought his meticulous garden was enough. He was a pillar of physical health, but he was suffering from a silence so profound it was actually killing his brain. The single most devastating mistake is chronic, low-level isolation. It is the mistake of sacrificing deep, consistent human connection for the sake of convenience, comfort, or a mistaken idea of independence. And here is the first major turning point, the thing that makes this a mistake and not just a sadness. Loneliness is not a feeling, it is a physical poison. It is not just about being sad because you have no one to talk to. Scientists, bless their little inquisitive minds, they have been studying this, and they have found that when a human being experiences chronic social isolation, the brain panics. It releases a storm of stress hormones. It triggers a state of constant, low-grade, full-body inflammation. Think of inflammation like tiny, invisible shards of glass being rubbed into the delicate parts of your brain. It damages the connections, it kills the brain cells, and it dramatically speeds up the aging process. You can feel this too, as a constant, heavy fatigue or a forgetfulness that creeps up on you like a fog. Do you see now? Tio Ernesto was dying, not because of a cheeseburger, but because his brain was swimming in the biochemical equivalent of a raging fire. And no amount of kale was going to put it out. Now you might be sitting there, nodding and saying, "Rosario, that's so sad, but it's not me. I'm busy. I work in an office full of people. I have 300 friends on the internet. I talk to people all day long." And this is the first twist, the cruel deception of the modern world. You can be standing in the middle of a massive, roaring crowd and be suffering from social isolation just as deeply as Tio Ernesto in his quiet house. The mistake isn't being alone. The mistake is accepting superficial connection as a substitute for genuine human intimacy. Let me tell you the difference, the way I see it. Superficial connection is seeing 100 faces on a screen. It's exchanging quick, polite words with the cashier. It's the 10-second text message exchange that says nothing. It doesn't require vulnerability. It doesn't require your presence. It leaves the door to your soul locked and bolted. Genuine intimacy, on the other hand, is deep and messy and wonderful. It is the kind of talk where you can disagree and still feel safe. It is looking into someone's eyes while you tell them a story and watching their face change as they listen. It is the silent, shared work of kneading bread together. It is about being truly seen by another person, not just glanced at. For the brain, the little social signals that come from genuine, long-form conversation, from eye contact, from a shared activity, these are like nutrient-rich water. They calm the nervous system, they lower the inflammation, and they encourage the growth of new connections in the brain. But scrolling through 1,000 strangers' holiday photos, that provides zero benefit. In fact, it can make the loneliness worse, tricking your brain into thinking its social needs are met when they are starving. So if you are working a high-pressure job where you talk to 100 clients a day, but you haven't had a long, meaningful conversation with a friend or family member about your life in 2 weeks, you are making the mistake, and your brain is aging faster because of it. This mistake, this subtle rot of the spirit, is a domino effect. It doesn't just damage the brain directly with inflammation, it knocks over every other healthy habit you have tried to build. Think about it. When you feel disconnected, what is the easiest way to comfort that hollow feeling? It is not to go for a bracing cold walk, is it? No. It's to grab a bag of something salty or sweet, something fast, something that hits the pleasure center quickly to mask the quiet, throbbing pain of isolation. The isolation leads to poor diet. And then there is sleep. Oh, the beautiful, sacred sleep. When you are disconnected, when your brain is running that high-stress, inflammatory alarm signal all night long, how are you supposed to rest? You toss and you turn. Your brain keeps cycling through anxieties, unable to find the safe harbor it needs. The mistake of isolation ruins your sleep timing and quality, and poor sleep is the single greatest inhibitor of your brain's ability to clean itself. Every night, your brain washes itself out. It clears the metabolic debris that builds up during the day. If you don't sleep well, that debris stays. It builds up. It suffocates your cells. It is a terrible cycle. Isolation leads to inflammation. Inflammation leads to poor sleep. Poor sleep leads to even worse memory. And all of it, every tiny bit of it, is speeding up the clock on your magnificent mind. But listen to my voice now, my darlings, because I am not here to depress you. I am here because I have seen the impossible. I have seen the human spirit fight back, and I have seen minds that were considered lost come roaring back to life. I want to tell you about a dear friend of my daughter's, a man named Gabriel. When he was only in his early 60s, Gabriel began to decline rapidly. His family was terrified. He was forgetting names, he was getting lost on his way home from the market. The doctors used all the scary words. The outlook was very, very bleak. But Gabriel's daughter, she was stubborn, like me. She refused to accept it. She spent a whole year reading everything, talking to every specialist. She realized her father, a newly retired engineer, was suffering from the exact same mistake as Tio Ernesto. He had lost his daily structure, his colleagues, his sense of necessity. He was an island. She didn't put him on a complicated drug regimen. She didn't try to make him a marathon runner. She tried something so simple, so old-fashioned, that it sounds like nonsense, but it worked. It changed everything. The turning point was this. She moved him into a tiny apartment above a community center, and she gave him a shared purpose. She told the staff, he is not a patient. He is the keeper of the tools. His job was to organize and label the storage room for the weekly senior crafting class. That's it. One tiny, simple task, but it required him to be present. He had to nod hello to the women, he had to give advice on where to find the paint, he had to tell the teacher where he left the scissors. It was low stress, but it was high connection. Within 6 months, the change was astonishing. His forgetfulness didn't disappear completely, but it slowed, and then, according to his family, it reversed. He was laughing again, he was telling stories again, he was needed, he was seen. The single greatest cure for the mistake of isolation is not simply to get out more, but to embrace a 3-part reversal protocol that tackles inflammation, sleep, and connection all at once. It is what I call Rosario's Inner Garden Protocol. This protocol is made of small, intentional, non-negotiable daily acts. They are not grand gestures. They are gentle but firm. And we start with the simplest, most profound act of rebellion against an aging brain: movement. The first pillar of the reversal is what I call the daily ritual. You see, for the longest time, we thought exercise was for the heart or for the waistline. We thought of it like lifting weights for your muscles. But the research now shows that simple, daily physical activity is one of the most powerful things you can do to reverse cognitive aging. Not slow it down, my darlings, reverse it. Studies show that everyday physical activity, even something as simple as a brisk, short walk, can provide short-term benefits for cognitive health equivalent to reversing 4 years of cognitive aging. 4 years! Think of that! You go for a walk and your mind feels 4 years younger. But here is the trick, the Rosario difference. It must be a walking meditation of intention. Don't put on a complicated podcast. Don't call a friend. This walk is only for you and your brain. You must walk for at least 20 minutes, but more importantly, you must use that time to look around you. Notice the way the light hits the leaves. Smell the air. Count the different colors of the cars that pass. The goal is not just to move your body, it is to force your brain to pay attention to its immediate surroundings. This simple act, this daily ritual, does two things for your brain. First, the movement pumps nutrient-rich blood to the parts of your brain that handle memory and learning. It literally waters your brain's garden. Second, and this is the important part, it interrupts the chronic stress cycle. It pulls you out of the inflammatory loop of anxiety and loneliness and grounds you in the present moment. It makes you feel safe. I remember when I first started this after Tio Ernesto was gone. I was so sad and so tired. I had a garden, but I barely looked at it. Then I started my 20-minute walk around the block, just as the sun was coming up. And I started to look at my neighbor's roses. One morning, I saw a hummingbird, just a flash of emerald and ruby. I stopped, and for one pure, perfect minute, I forgot every worry I had. I was simply observing. That is the magic. This is not exercise for vanity. This is movement for clarity. This is the first gentle step away from the mistake of isolation. Because when you walk with attention, you are connecting with the world around you, which prepares your brain for the most important connection, the connection with other people. Now we move to the second pillar of the reversal protocol, the inner garden. Everyone talks about diet. They talk about blueberries and salmon and walnuts. And yes, those things are wonderful. A diet rich in organic vegetables, fruits, nuts, and fish is strongly linked to better long-term brain health. But the number one mistake with diet is that we treat it like a chemistry experiment. We count, we measure, we obsess. We forget the ritual. The true secret of the beautiful Mediterranean and other long-lived, sharp-minded cultures is not just the food they eat, but the culture of food. They do not eat a healthy meal standing over a counter, scrolling through bad news. They eat slowly, with intention, and, most importantly, with other people. A meal shared where everyone is talking and laughing is one of the single most powerful anti-inflammatory, anti-aging therapies you can give your brain. The act of sharing food, of passing the bread, of telling a story over a steaming pot lowers stress hormones and elevates mood more effectively than any supplement. It transforms the act of eating into an act of connection. But I promised you a secret, didn't I? I promised you a small, simple twist you could put into your kitchen today to supercharge the diet you already have. When I started cooking for my family again after a long period of feeling low myself, I realized I needed a culinary shortcut to fighting the inflammation that had taken hold. I needed something simple, something I could use every day without thinking. And this is twist number 2, the simple golden spice you must add to your morning ritual. I am talking about turmeric. You know it. It is that bright, golden, slightly dusty spice that makes everything yellow. Turmeric, specifically its active ingredient called curcumin, is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory ingredients found in nature. It is a humble spice, but its power to cross the blood-brain barrier and fight the inflammation that causes aging is magnificent. But you cannot just sprinkle a little bit on your chicken once a month. You must make it a daily ritual. I started putting a 1/4 teaspoon in my morning coffee. Not a lot, just enough to give it a little earthiness. Or I will sprinkle it on my scrambled eggs or whisk it into my soup base. This is the key. Make a non-negotiable daily habit out of fighting the fire. You are actively combating the inflammation caused by the mistake of isolation, using the simple gifts of the earth. You are tending to your inner garden by giving it the golden medicine it needs. So, the second pillar is this. Eat the good food, but make the meal a ceremony of connection and a delivery system for your golden medicine. If you are eating alone, put on music that makes you happy, set the table nicely, and call a friend on speakerphone while you eat. Do not let it be a thoughtless, isolated act. Now we come to the final, most crucial pillar of the reversal protocol. This is the heart of the matter. This is how we completely reverse the mistake that ages your brain faster. This is the connection cure. We have used movement to prime the brain with fresh blood and oxygen. We have used diet to fight the inflammation. Now, we must use intentional, high-quality social interaction to rewire the brain for safety, longevity, and sharpness. The biggest lie of the modern age is that connection is a passive state. You see people on the street, you send a text, you like a post. You think, I am connected. No. Connection is an active, demanding sport, and it must be scheduled. You need to schedule your connections just like you schedule your doctor's appointments, your work meetings, or your exercise. You would never miss a work meeting, right? But how many times have you pushed off calling a cousin or having coffee with an old friend? Your brain sees that pushed-off call as a signal of social danger. It registers as a threat to your survival, and it cranks up the stress hormones again. So, the rule for the connection cure is simple and absolute: the 30-minute check-in. Every single week, you must have at least 3 non-negotiable 30-minute blocks of deep connection. This can be a phone call, a video chat, or a face-to-face meeting. It has to be 30 minutes because it takes time to get past the weather, past the polite surface, and into a place of genuine feeling. It has to be a conversation where you feel safe enough to share something slightly vulnerable, and where you listen with the whole of your being. The quality of this connection is everything. You must be present. You must put the screen away. Let me tell you why this is so potent. When we engage in deep, empathetic conversation, the brain releases a beautiful hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is a chemical lullaby. It is the opposite of the stress hormone that drives inflammation. It tells your brain you are safe, you are part of the tribe, you are loved. This is how you literally bathe your brain in an anti-aging elixir. Think about Gabriel, the engineer. His daughter didn't just give him a craft class, she gave him a shared vulnerability. The old ladies needed his tools. He was necessary. He had a reason to get out of bed, to organize his mind, to engage his memory, and to receive those tiny, life-affirming doses of respect and gratitude. That is the ultimate twist in the story of brain aging. The greatest mistake is believing that your life is only about you. And the greatest reversal is realizing that your longevity and your sharpness are entirely dependent on the necessity of others needing you. My grandmother, my abuela, she lived to be 99 years old. She was sharp as a tack until the very end. She never talked about her diet, although she ate simply. She never lifted weights. But she was the epicenter of her community. She was the one who kept the neighborhood gossip flowing, who taught every young woman how to make the special bread, who went to every birth, every wedding, every funeral. Her secret was not a supplement or a cleanse. Her secret was that she was absolutely, indispensably necessary to the lives of the people around her. Her brain was constantly being challenged, stimulated, soothed, and loved. She never suffered from the silence of isolation. So, my darlings, I want you to look at your life right now. Are you making the mistake? Are you substituting the quick, empty calories of superficial digital connection for the nourishing, slow-cooked meal of true intimacy? If your mind is feeling foggy, if your memory is starting to slip, if you are feeling that constant low-grade fatigue, I beg you, do not run to the pharmacy. Do not just buy another self-help book. Instead, start small. This week, schedule your 3 30-minute check-ins. Call the person you have been meaning to call. Do not text, call. Tomorrow, take your 20-minute walking meditation of intention. Pay attention. Look at the leaves. Today, go into your kitchen and find a pinch of turmeric. Add the golden medicine to something you eat every single day. Start fighting the inflammation from the inside. Your beautiful mind is not a clock ticking down to zero. It is a living, breathing, magnificent garden. And like any garden, it can be pruned, it can be neglected, or it can be tended to with love, intention, and connection. The secret to keeping your mind young is not to try and hold on to the past. It is to give your brain a profound, beautiful reason to be excited about the future. A future that is full of purpose and shared human warmth. Go and be necessary, my darlings. Go and connect. Your brain will thank you for it for years and years to come.